Hey Mike, got your Solex. Thought you'd enjoy a little eval of what was going on and why you had so much trouble with the little fellers. Be interesting to know how you had your choke cable hooked up, because you got your one binding screw here, but you got something over here. So I assume you can figure out how to hook up your choke cable with another binding screw. Let's see, obvious things. Missing you got your tube right here to hook up to your vent pipe. This one's missing over here. I'll replace that for you, certainly. Another thing that I noticed is these are the way they're situated on the car. Remember, choke levers go to the center when you're installing the carburetors. There is no little screw right here to set the clearance between your throttle lever and your choke lever. So when you move this choke lever right here, nothing happens right here. So you have no fast idle, which is an important part of your choke when you're starting in the morning. And that's this little teeny screw right here, and it can make it very difficult to start your car in the morning. Let's see, we got a lot of slop right here, which is the clearance between this pin and this screw right here, and this the number one throttle shaft and butterfly. And what happens is when you floor the car and the second barrels kick in, somehow this has got to be closed. And so what happens is when you let back off on the throttle, you've got this screw right here hitting this pin and artificially closing the butterflies. And as you can see, this one doesn't close all the way, and when it gets into this position it should close all the way, but you still see we got a little slop right there. Well, that's means this thing's not going to close properly. So a little too much clearance between this screw and this pin. The screw should be hitting that pin and shutting, helping to close the second barrel butterfly. In addition to that, you'd have your vacuum would be helping to close it as well. But nonetheless, what that means is this thing was not closing all the way, and that's going to be part of your high idle that you're dealing with. Another huge part of the high idle is how much slop there is in this shaft to the butterfly. I mean, even if we hold it closed, you can still see. So that's an air leak right there. And what that means is you got unmetered air coming in from the sides here, through the throttle shafts. All your metering is done inside here with your venturis, your pre-atomizers, and your venturis. And then once it gets to this point, you've got air-fuel mixture going into the vehicle. Well, if you start to inject air through the sides right here, you're leaning it out and making to where you cannot adjust the carburetors, because you're adjusting here for function in this part of the carburetor, and over here it's leaking air, which is not adjusted and not adjustable. So big problems. That's another reason you were getting a high idle. And let's see, just for fun, we will check our butterfly fit. What happens on the second barrel, in fact you can see it right here, is when this butterfly snaps closed, there's enough force on there that eventually this brass butterfly makes a ridge inside here, and you can barely see it. And let's see, I got people coming in, so I'm gonna have to just hang on a second here. I don't want to start all over on the video, but hang on. Welcome.
Hi.
How you doing this morning?
Whew.
Just barely making it?
My morning starts on the work mornings at 4.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Doing what?
Oh, I I have a part-time job that's retail,
Oh,
and
wow.
I just go in and merchandise for them, so
Oh.
I'm done quickly. But thank heavens it's only for 2 days a week.
Okay.
I just wanted to start with the kitties when I didn't have to leave them.
I understand.
Oh, I did bring, because I have my eldest kitty that I inherited from my daughter when she moved to New Zealand.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
She can't do chicken.
Mm.
She's sensitive. You want to keep this around
Sure.
for the
Oh, that's
for
very
the
simple.
guys.
Oh, I tell you what, just the opening, that's the strangest thing. The regular package of food, no, not much reaction. I start to do the Ziploc. I just get that foil and I start wiggling it, and all of them attack me once to get the treats. It's
They
just,
know which ones they like.
it's amazing. Yeah. So so if you have any issues in there, just do one of those
Yeah,
packs.
the chicken makes her all clogged up.
Sure.
So it's like I don't even need to hold on to it anymore.
Okay. All right. Well, holler if you need me.
Okay.
All right, sorry about that. Back to you, Mike. So what we're going to do is check to see how our butterfly to body fit is. And what you want is minimal amount of air to process through there. And since we can't check with air, what we do is I use a flashlight. And we see what kind of gap we've got around there. Well, you can see right now, got a really nice gap around the butterfly to body, and it's just have to get the flashlight in the right position. You can see it around the bottom there, and then I'm not strong enough to hold this thing up there, but anyway, you see, you get the idea. So when the machine work is done on these carburetors, when you hold them up with a flashlight, I actually use the sun, and you hold it up to the light, you cannot see any gap between the butterfly and the body. And so in addition to wearing on the butterfly here, you get a groove worn in the body. And then what's more fun is that as this thing wears in the shaft in the body wears, that gap, that ridge, starts to become an oval. It starts to move and migrate. So all of a sudden you've got a very large area where the butterfly cannot seal against the body of the carburetor. And this indicates, this right here, you don't have enough of this adjustment dialed in for the accelerator pump. So let's see what the other one looks like. We should have more thread showing. And there's an example of, you can see the difference. No threads here, and you have a few more threads showing here, but even this is not dialed in quite enough. And let's check number one carburetor and see what we got here. Same slop. And this one got the same, little loose right there. Anyway, let's check inside here. All right, well, here's another reason these things weren't working very well. Let me get the flashlight. You can see down inside there. Okay. This is what's called the pre-atomizer, this guy right here. Put this on camera. See that right there? This is better. This is easier to look at over here. Well, this one here is just going to fall out. It wasn't going to get sucked down into your engine, but it was going to fall out. And I'm surprised you weren't flooding, because these are a direct route into the float bowl. And these things are, it's a crappy design. It's a mechanical seal. You got this pot metal. Let's see if I can turn the. No, I can't turn the video. Flash on. No, anyway, so you got a seal right here. This is metal to metal seal. It's a mechanical seal. There's nothing down there, no rubber, no nothing to seal these two together. So you've got to use your jam screw and jam nut right there to make this become a seal, so that no gasoline leaks out. And of course, you got you got very thin cross section right here. You've got this very thin across here, the center section, and so this is basically a very thin piece of metal that is prone to warpage, and what do you need to do? You need to crank down on it as hard as possible to get it to seal against the body inside there, and eventually this thing will start to collapse and it's no longer sealed. So you've got a direct route from the float bowl into the throat of the carburetor that is going to be dumping fuel and flooding you. So it's a wonder this thing was even running at all, even at 2,500 RPM. Same thing with this one. This is loose, and this is the only one that's tight. This one here does not move. That's how it's supposed to be. It does not move. It's hard to get this on camera with my fingers in the way. And this one here wiggles all over the place. I don't know if you can see that or not. I can barely see it on the camera myself. Anyway. There we go. You can see that. Okay. So let's see what else is going on. And we can notice here anything else. Well, other than all the things I found wrong with them, these are fine carburetors. I'm checking to see, make sure there's no cracks underneath here. No cracks here. That's why that membrane is there, or that reinforcing bit of material, because the early first versions did not have that there, and these things would crack across here. Which is also an important thing to remember. The reason that these things would often crack is because people would not maintain their rear motor mounts, and the rear of the engine would sag down, and when it does that, the air collector, the big air log that fits on the carburetors, that will actually contact the firewall, and as you're driving along, bouncing up and down, the air log is resting on the firewall and is putting pressure on these carburetors, and they will crack back here. So if you, in order to make sure that your motor mounts are in good condition, you should be able to put your fingers underneath the air log as it goes across the by the firewall. If not, then you got to do some new motor mounts, and also a lot of times put some extra flat washers on the motor mounts to jack the engine up about 4 or 5 millimeters. That's, see if there's anything else I can think of. Be sure to use your wave washers here when mounting the carburetors, because the wave washers act as a limit stop for the sleeves that are supporting the carburetors. And you will notice that nobody installed the wave washers right here, and these sleeves were cutting a groove into the body of the carburetor. Bad news. So there's a wave washer that goes here that keeps the sleeve from digging into the body of the carburetor, and it acts as a limit stop for the sleeve. So all that I will send those with the new carburetors, but you have got to install these like the factory had them installed, and you'll be all set. And I suggest new factory diamond gaskets right here. All right, I think that's it for the time being. Thank you for watching this far. I know it was a little hard to understand sometimes, but thank you for your patience.